Hi, guys. Good evening. Welcome back once again to the EdWord. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I will be doing my episode review for last night's episode of Fear the Walking Dead, which was the mid-season finale for Season 2. The show is due to return in August. No premiere date or return date as of yet, but that's still only 3 months. I know it's going to feel like a long 3 months, but fortunately there's a lot in between that we can occupy ourselves with. So, before I go on, of course, and I start blabbering on and on, be warned that this will be full of big spoilers referring to the mid-season finale for Fear the Walking Dead. If you are not caught up on Fear the Walking Dead, or if you're behind by one episode or a few episodes, basically, do not keep watching or listening to this video, as I will be going into big spoilers. So you have been warned. That being said, it was a good episode, but it was also kind of confusing. I guess the parts that were confusing for me, and now I'm getting into the spoilers, was Madison leads Celia down into the cellar when she lies to her and she says, like, oh, teach me, referring to teach me about, help me understand how you see the walkers. Because Celia believes, much like Herschel did in Walking Dead, she believes the walkers are just sick people who have lost their way, and they're not actually dead. And she's probably saying that because it's part of the grieving mourning process that she feels for her two sons and other people that she's lost. She's convinced herself that these people are not walkers, but still alive. They're just sick humans. But, of course, we know better. And, she brings Madison down there and kind of foolishly allows her to become herself distracted with the walkers in the wine cellar. And then Madison locks her in there, leaves her down there. And I think Madison fully intended on leaving her down there to get ripped apart by her pet walkers, because Madison and her family want to keep staying at this place, but the only way they can really do that is to basically get rid of Celia, who's brainwashed Nick into believing that walkers are people, and she's proven to be dangerous and formidable. And, she's an unbalanced woman. And, Madison practically committed murder. Now, that is assuming Celia was swarmed and killed by her walkers. Because the last we see of Celia is that the walkers are slowly moving in on her. And later, when Daniel goes down there with the gas can with the intent of burning the walkers to a crisp, we see them with their mouths and hands quite bloody, as if they had a recent kill and they were just eating whatever or whomever they just killed. And that led me to suspect, oh, did they attack and eat Celia? Like, did she not put up a fight? Did she allow herself to become one of the infected or the sick? And then the other thing that confused me about this episode, okay, so there was that, the not knowing Celia's fate. Well, that wasn't really much of confusion, but it did make me wonder. What confused me was Daniel's mental deterioration. Like, he was finally snapping. Chris, I understood why he was, starting to lose it. He lost his mother in season 1. He's been kind of on an edgy path. He's been kind of on an edgy path the first half of this season. And, it's just, so it's not surprising to see the road he's going down. And poor Travis, he's so desperate to help his son, but he also doesn't want to leave his girlfriend and new family behind, but he's also looking out what's best for his son, which is why when Nick finds them, he's like, tell Madison you haven't found us. But Daniel's mental deterioration is the guilt of everything that he did in El Salvador finally eating at him. Is the apocalypse simply too much for him to bear? Like, has he reached his breaking point? Has he not had time to properly grieve his dead wife? Because she returns, Grimelda returns and has hallucinations that he's talking to her and he can hear her when she's speaking. It's, I'm wondering if it's part of his mourning process where he's starting to lose it because he can't come to the terms of his wife's death. Like, he feels bad he wasn't there for her, wasn't able to save her, or at least wasn't even there to see her one last time. Is that what's causing his mental deterioration? Like, why he's starting to hallucinate and imagine her? Or is it the guilt with all the blood on his hands, as we saw from the flashback episode when he was a boy given a pistol and told to execute a man point blank range, and then he keeps referring to his sordid past about, all of the horrible acts of cruelty he had to inflict upon other people. Was the apocalypse just enough of a pushing point to push him over the edge finally? We don't know. And another thing that was confusing was when he lights the walkers on fire, it looks like the flames from the trail of gasoline starts to go up his leg, but we do not see him escape. In fact, the last we see of him is him hallucinating, seeing his dead wife and all the other people behind her all smiling back at him. So we don't know if Daniel made it out of there in time before the whole place went up in a ball of fire, or if he allowed himself to burn to death, because everybody seemed to think that he was gone. At least Madison, Alicia, and Ophelia think he's dead. Oh, thank God Strand was okay. I was glad to see Strand not die. He's my favorite. What I also liked about this episode was Nick's willingness and carefree attitude about just dousing himself in blood to blend in with the walkers, because we see him showering off, talking to Madison about why they need to stay, and then the next scene we see him finding Travis and Chris, and after their little scuffle, and he's covered in blood once again. So his willingness to cover himself in blood and disguise himself, I just thought it was kind of humorous for what it was. But, the episode ended the way season 2 of Walking Dead ended. The farm burning, most of its residents presumably burning or dying along with it. Our characters split off into groups. It looks like Travis and Chris were finally coming back to the farm after things had calmed down for them, or at least for Chris. Nick was still out there. We don't know if Daniel escaped the wine cellar before it was engulfed in flames. And we obviously we see what happened to Madison, Alicia, Ophelia, and Strand. They get away in the pickup truck as they watch Nick blend in with the walkers. And I really hope Nick comes to his senses and realizes that they're not people. They're not sick people. They're dead. They're eating machines is what they are. And hopefully he'll come to realize that before it's too late. Overall, pretty good mid-season finale. Not as great and as explosive as they made it out to be. I'm sure they meant well. I just felt like it could have been a bit better with a bit more explanation. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, if it made more sense to you, and it didn't make as much sense to me. I don't know, it's just me. But that's what I thought, and I'm going to finish this season as well before I dismiss it or I continue watching it. I'm definitely going to watch the mid-season premiere when it returns in August on AMC, and I hope you guys do too. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me here on the EdWord for another episode review for Fear the Walking Dead. I hope you've enjoyed this first half of the second season as much as I have. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more review videos like this one, and like this video, and also check out my Facebook page in the description down below. I think you'll like what you see. Thanks again for stopping by. Don't forget, Fear the Walking Dead Season 2 returns to AMC in August. We don't have an exact premiere date yet, but as soon as we do, I will let you guys know. And stay subscribed to get that information. All right, guys, have a great rest of the night. Thanks again for stopping by. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.